Wesh. Les abos. Wesh les abos. Bon, on y va, on y va. Aujourd'hui c'est les FN6 les mecs. Les FN6. Bon, on y va, on y va. On va voir qu'est-ce qu'on a aujourd'hui. Bien évidemment, je ferai une vidéo sur les drops. On va juste désactiver le choc vocal et voilà. Qu'est-ce qu'on a aujourd'hui? Let's go, let's go. Il y a quoi ici aujourd'hui là? Ça c'est le petit trophée pour les personnes qui savent pas. Le petit trophée il est là. Voilà. Très cool franchement. Et je pense que lui de la World Cup il est meilleur. Ça fait trop FNCS. On a le grand écran là-bas. Let's go, let's go. Je vais augmenter le son pour vous. J'avais... Bon bah viens, on va aller en haut. Ah. Vas-y. On va juste regarder maintenant. Je vais monter un peu le son. On va augmenter un peu le son les mecs. Après 55. 53. C'est bon, bon pour regarder, let's go. Let's go. Bon, on a qui là? Ah, c'est le bordel. Pour les mecs qui savent pas, il y a des drops aussi. Donc moi je veux juste défaire. Regardez. Ah, je l'ai pas équipé. Moi j'équiperai tout à l'heure. Putain, mais j'ai un mec qui m'a rejoint en plus. Bon. Putain, c'est n'importe quoi. Let's go, let's go. Il devrait éditer le mur. Là. Ah, les mecs, je reviens 2 secondes. Mais par contre, je vais laisser mon gameplay. Je reviens 3 secondes.
all the way. The launch pad comes down. They don't want to stay there and commit the map. They're going to go ahead and switch it up. Mustache on the low ground down to 40 HP, but he still has some movement to work with.
You can see him, he's speaking through the cone, gathering that information. He has a launch pad as well. He can easily try to find his way through, but there's so many players stacked all around him. They don't want to make it easy, but 28 above the damage threshold. He's not only looking for the perfect rotation, he's looking for some players to put some shots on, but a high ground goes over to Peppo.
Whoa, Asia on height now too. This is big. That's something you did not expect, but Vino and Queezer are now looking up, take the side and go for it. They land on top of Asia, and it's all or nothing now. Vino fights for it. The wall gets edited. It's not quite his. It's a battle on all fronts here. Can they win it off? And he does just enough. Vino and Queasy have managed to fight back for high ground in the first game of the FNCS Invitation.
Yep, and there goes a saw to the feed. Vidil and Janice, their run came to an end. Vico picking up Anas and Mustache. Whoa. Two different players as Alice is trying to break through. 118 below the damage threshold. He knows he cannot stay in one place too long, trying to reunite with Threats, but he goes down as well. Storm Surge really eating these guys alive. Alice has to do something, but the options are so thin. He doesn't know what to do. Finally finding one player, puts the shot on. Storm Surge still going wild. He's below, but that Siphon coming through just in the nick of time to keep him alive.
He is alive. He takes down the run, steps into the zone, and look at this. A huge pickup now. That's going to buy him more time. That could be the absolute difference. Meanwhile, Seti and Cammy playing their game. Pamstu and Fash still alive as well. High ground has Queasy and Vino. Low ground has Chicho and Trulix playing and leading the front side of zone. There's not a player in sight. Clicks is still alive now, working his way through. He has lost his teammate. The full finish comes through. It might be all or nothing now. He still has so much left in the tank.
Yeah, but I'm not too worried about him because of him and Duke's high placement last FNCS was because of solo clutches from that man himself. But talk about solos. Joe gets one as Andy goes down. Shots coming in from the high ground. Pressure is there, but Joe's trying to find his way to the front side of zone, but it's a hard journey trying to find it. 12 HP, continuing to drop. Shots still coming in. He's going to find a moment of an oasis to try to stabilize and figure out what's the next play.
Cammy and Seti find their way to the high ground. Down goes Clicks to the hands of Cammy. That's a huge one. Hello, Vino. You have to turn and run. Cammy wants to hear nothing about that noise right there. Meanwhile, Seti's keeping eyes on the general area. Very solid. Chicho fighting his way, but no. An edit comes through. It's Zagu and Marine, who's right above them there. Our FNCS champions of Asia are still here. Down goes Pamstu as well. What a huge elimination here.
The top 7 duos alive. 11 players total left in this game. One of them being Seti and Cammy towards the high ground. The analyst desk called it. These guys don't play too many early game fights. They wait for this end game and for every opportunity. But Acorn, he's trying to sneak some extra points. He has the med miss sitting in the zone. Vino doing the same, but he's almost all out of opportunity.
This is absolutely what you expect of the best players in the world coming together for this invitational here to have this opportunity to step up to the plate, represent for your region. This is what it's all about. Vino by himself just working his way, ratting his way through the build. Acorn is as well. There's a set of major points separating them. Vino looks to high ground. He says, I'm not going to allow you to just sit there and focus me. Trulex is meanwhile in the low, looking for something to do here, turning builds into Chrome. Remember, he can slip through any one of these now. He's becoming desperate.
He's just trying to reinforce a little bit of the builds that are around him so nobody can quickly edit through and try to pick that shot. Miram and Tagu, they don't have that high ground, but they have that mid layer trying to find that comfortability. Brino, only 2 HP, no med miss left. He's gonna have to try to find a Siphon here, but no, he gets dropped. Acorn finds another one from the outside of zone.
7 elims for Mareem and Zagu, representing for Asia here, looking great. Meanwhile, Yumi and Cool are getting one step closer now to taking this fight. A huge shot out to Mareem. He's gonna feel that one as he plays defensively, but Zagu is here to back him up. They're going hand in hand. The fight breaks out. They clap back. Down.
Oh my gosh!
Cool steps up to the plate. We are now down to 3 duos in the end game, 2 solos and a duo up top.
Carrying that momentum from last season's FNCS, but he has so much more work to do. Seti and Cammy.
Bon les mecs, je suis là. Let's go. C'est pour un petit truc à grignoter. À 4 heures, je devrais y aller. Mais je vais peut-être revenir à peu près 9 heures. Mais à 9 heures, vous ne vous inquiétez pas, je vais peut-être live jusqu'à minuit. Vous savez, les FNCS, c'est la base. Let's go, première win, c'est qui? Camille et cette île. Quand même. Ils sont forts ceux-là. Yo les mecs sur live. Ils se pas t'abonner et liker. On regarde les FNCS aujourd'hui. Mec, je regarde, mais la caméra, genre, est énorme. Elle est énorme, la cam. Bon, je veux plus mon micro parce que ça sert à rien.
I must ask, what, dzień dobry, first and foremost. Obviously, game one winners, how was that being out there and winning in front of this amazing crowd?
It's amazing. I love the atmosphere here. It's really nice having a crowd again.
Excellent. And also, obviously, high ground reigns supreme. Once you had the high ground there, able to maintain, do you think that was the difference maker? You felt comfortable being above the rest of the teams?
Like, we knew that high team doesn't have much, so we just took it.
You took it. Going into the next game, much of the same? Do you have to constantly change strategy, or did it feel good playing against the rest of the world?
It feels good. It feels pretty easy. I'm not like denying the competition, but it feels really nice playing here. And yeah, we're just going confident into game two. Still have to be consistent to the end of the tournament, then that's it.
Excellent stuff. Once more time, guys, give it up. Your game one winners, Camille and City! Good stuff. Let's head back over.
Putain, mec, c'est la première win.
Thank you guys so much. Game number one is taken by EU. This is going to be a tough one for everybody else. EU, let's represent, baby! Cammy and Seti, though, come out huge in game number one. What's crazy, too, for a moment there, we watched Queasy and Bino go for height in sixth moving, right? But it's not them who end in height. It's Cammy and Seti.
It's crazy, big development there. I can't believe Cammy and Seti are the ones that actually end up on the high ground. I love the fact that you mentioned that there were a little bit of flip-flopping going on the high ground. Somehow Cammy and Seti, probably the least likely to, in my opinion, to find themselves up there, do so well played coming from them. And also, not to mention, this end clip right here doesn't even tell the full story. Seti goes down in that mid game, and Cammy clutches up 1v2, which is why he has so many eliminations coming into this. And then to close it out here, just two separate solos, and they make easy work of them.
It was right around the start of Zone 8 that we saw Cammy just sweep Queasy completely off guard there on the flank. Didn't seem as though Queasy was fully aware of the fact, because there were so many teams trying to challenge that high ground at once, but it was Cammy and Seti who actually successfully walked away with it, and they just had so many builds. That vertical play throughout the entirety of 8th and 9th zone, there was just nothing anyone else could do about it.
And the thing that I love, right, is we came into this game and we were like, who's going to be nervous, who's going to be confident? I have never been able to tell if somebody is confident. After winning game number one of an invitational, it seemed like there was like no expression coming out of Cammy and Seti. There was like, yeah, that's expected.
That's what they're used to, right? That's how they won the most recent DreamHack. This is almost like, it's like their life is on repeat, but this time instead of DreamHack, it's FNCS Invitational, right? I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. We saw a lot of like self-regional eliminations, right? EU eliminating EU, yeah. NA eliminating NA. It was kind of crazy. I'm surprised there wasn't more, I guess, intermingling.
Big battles going on here, and it's really close towards the top of this leaderboard. Of course, Cammy and Seti finding themselves at the top. They're getting that victory royale, securing 44 points. The early lead after game number one, but NA West also representing here, going down in that third place position, getting 42 points on the back of so many eliminations.
But it was actually the fourth place position. Noah Riley, bad sniper, they're walking away with 8 elims. That is a good chunk of points that they were able to compensate for, despite not being able to close things out. And I think ultimately we saw in the first 3 zones a little bit more EU heavy as far as the elim fee was concerned, but sure, by the time we hit that mid game, it seemed as though all of NA and some of the international regions just really started to hit their stride, because everything just started lighting up immediately.
a lot of these players, right? They're using this initial game as a kind of a feeler, right? Let's just kind of see how this all works and everyone the land looks like, and then we'll look to go ahead and fight back. But real quick, we have a mini miner standing by. What you got for us?
Thanks so much, Zeke. Now, we want to be taking a deep dive into one of our duos that have been deep diving into the dead side of Zone. As we reveal this massive screen right behind me, we're going to be talking, of course, about Commandment and Avery, our reigning NA East FNCS champions. We can see them on the screen right there, the little white arrows, and they've made a really, really interesting rotate this game. We can see the path that they are going to take using all the way on that dead side of Zone. Now, you might be wondering, what is the benefits of dead side? Now, you can see on the map, loads of those little arrows are on this side of Zone, right? And this is the area that most teams are going to be at, because most of the POIs are going to be rotating into there. We can see Commandment and Avery using the sort of the mid-map rotation, right? You can see the in-game rotation devices, you can see the launch pads being used, you can see the balloons, and of course, you can see the slipstreams as well, and you can see them getting to this less congested side of Zone. Nobody's there. What's going on? They have a free rotation, but of course, this comes with some problems, right? We saw them struggling with Surge in that previous game. It didn't quite work out the way that they were expecting. They weren't able to find as many players as they could, so the benefits for them are, of course, they're on the less congested side of Zone. They don't see anyone, but that also has implications. You don't get the damage done, and you can see that in the last game. They were struggling for tags. Of course, we saw King and Ed doing the exact same thing, but they were able to find as many eliminations and as many tags as they possibly could.
Je reviens, les mecs.
Unfortunately for Commandment and Avery, though, it didn't quite work out. I've got so many questions to ask, and who better to ask them themselves? Kelly, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mini Mani. Joining me right now, I have Commandment and Avery. And Avery, I gotta ask you, man, how do you feel about it, game number one?
Surge was pretty rough. We had to run through Hauler's shield pretty early, so we died on half zone. But we still managed to get 8 points for first game, just testing the grounds.
Well, good luck in that next game, guys. I'm sure you're going to be doing a lot better. I'm going to be joining over here Acorn and Edgy, guys. That second place finish, what was going through your mind once you had that solo run?
I mean, honestly, it was all Acorn. Like, I didn't even do anything, to be honest. He's just the best player in the world.
Yeah, man, what was going through your mind?
I know I had chromes, and I was like, I'm 100% going to get top 2 here. No, I was confident, and it went my way.
I love it. Congratulations, guys. You have a great start to the competition. Let's head on back to the desk.
Thank you so much, Kelly, and of course, Mini Miner, and shout-outs to the players. That was just game number 1. Now, this looks a little deceiving, right? For a moment, we celebrated Cammy and Setting. We think, okay, they got the victory royale, big deal. Yeah. However, Acorn there, it's okay. They didn't get the victory royale, but that's not what they needed, right? They just needed to place high.
Yeah, of course. You know, Acorn, you can hear that at Edgy right there. Best player in the world.
C'est bon, je suis là.
But again, you know, one of those solo pitches that we kind of saw was from third place position, and we can tell at one point in time he was like in that 1v2 position in that box fight, and he comes out on top and just transitions that all the way towards that third place position.
You don't become FNCS champions without having this kind of collective measure when it comes to your mental discipline inside these block fights, and not to mention the fact that they also had 7 elims to boot to close this one out. So not only are they placing high, but they're also making sure to capitalize on those elims as well, and it is everything when you're able to try and establish these early leads, because this is a very competitive lobby, and I think, if anything, game 1 is only amped me up even more to see what these players are going to do.
Yeah, the individual performances coming out, and that's what matters so much on these stages. You know, we saw last season on the NA East region, Min is the one that won it with his solo clutch, so every single solo performance matters tenfold.
That's right. I want to take a look at our standings once again. And again, don't freak out. This is just game number 1. This is our feeler game, right? From here, we make adjustments and we make the changes we need to succeed. Cammy and Seti, they did win game number 1. But with only 6 eliminations, they're currently sitting at the 44 points. As we kind of start to go top to bottom, you know, we did watch Queasy and Vino. They did try.
Donc toutes les personnes qui sont à l'FNCS nationale, ils ont tous fait déjà un tournoi FNCS. Ils ont toutes fait, ils ont au moins participé dans un FNCS. C'est international. Je sais même pas comment on faisait pour se qualifier. Je pense que c'est à cause des points la reine, je sais pas. Buga, man, il devait être là. Si Buga était pas là, ça... C'était pas une FNCS. Buga, il est toujours à l'FNCS. Je vais partir à 4h, mais je vais revenir, je vais relancer mon live à peu près 9h, je vous ai dit, puis voilà. Voilà. Peut-être demain on fera un petit live GTA. Si vous voulez, on fera un petit live GTA si vous voulez demain. Oh non, j'ai plus ma paille. Merde. Moi ça me dérange pas si vous voulez faire un live GTA demain. En plus, j'ai le petit disque. J'ai... Voilà. Ça c'est rare hein, comme disque. Moi j'ai le Edition. Voilà. J'ai fait une vidéo aujourd'hui, il se fallait aller voir. C'est pour des glitches d'XP de map. J'ai gagné à peu près 3 niveaux, c'est énorme. Hier j'avais genre, j'étais niveau genre 250 hier, je suis niveau 263. De l'Asie. L'Asie je pense que c'est eux qui sont le plus. Mec, la game number 6 là. La game 6 ça va être n'importe quoi. Hier là, tantôt hier je pense, j'avais beaucoup de drops d'FPS. Je sais pourquoi en fait maintenant, c'est parce qu'en fait dans les maps de même, Next Fight, c'est que tout le monde tire en même temps, tu vois. Parce que tout le monde a des pompes, donc plus que tout le monde a les mêmes armes, c'est ça. C'est parce qu'on est très proche, tout le monde bouge en même temps, c'est n'importe quoi.
And now they have to double adapt, not just adapt to their own meta and the way they're used to playing Storm Surge, but how other duos ahead of them, next to them, behind them, may be doing the same thing.
Every single time in Fortnite that we have like a set lobby over the course of X amount of games.
Je reviens les mecs.
And we saw it right there. It was like the flip of a coin. All of a sudden, the lobby, the amount of players left alive just crashed instantly because so many of them needed to fight for it. But one thing that I did see in that early game right there, a lot of balloons are being used. A lot of the players poisoning themselves all the way up there in the sky, then using those hammer assault rifles primarily to get tags in the early game. And then anybody that wasn't really doing that, unfortunately just had to force a fight later on in the game. Like for example, we saw Epic Whale and Reek go down because of one of those fights.
Look, it might have been Cammy and Seti that actually closed out the lobby, but it was Muzz and Looter who got the action going for us because we did see a decent amount of hesitation. It's kind of expected, I think. Game number 1 here at the FNCS Invitational. Nobody wants to be the first one out, but unfortunately, for Smite and Larson, that was the case because Looter and Muzz actually winning out the immediate trade, and this is one of the POIs that we touched on.
Bon les mecs, c'est la fin du live. Je vais recommencer à 9h, parce que je le savais. Donc ciao, et on se capte à 9h. Donc ciao.